Now got some breaking news coming in that the opposition says they will not allow the tabling of the railway budget unless Venkaiah Naidu apologizes for his speech yesterday. Remember, Venkaiah Naidu had asked the Congress to introspect. He'd also taken digs at Rahul Gandhi, saying that the Congress can go somewhere far and think about what they need to do. He says the Congress should think about why they've been hammered so hard. For more on this, I want to go across to my colleague Gaurav Sawant, who's reporting from Parliament this morning. Is this a serious threat, or are they just trying to extract their pound of flesh from the government this morning? Gaurav.
Rahul, let me put that question to Congress leader Pramod Tiwari, who's with me on the broadcast. The Congress is extremely aggressive on this, and now there are these reports that seem to indicate that the Congress won't even let the tabling of the railway budget happen. Why this aggression?
Wait for some time. They should have the decency. At least the minister should observe the decency when they are talking about the respected leaders sitting in the opposition. And I expect this much courtesy from them. And you wait what we are going to do in the parliament, you will come to know.
There is a lot of talk about whether this budget would be a pragmatic budget away from populism. What is it that the Congress is objecting to at this stage? Because reforms is something that even the Congress was talking about at one point of time.
We are not opposed to reforms. We will welcome that. But this is the, I should say, BJP talks too much. Prime Minister talks too much. And he does not come to the expectation of the people. If they are going to do it again, as I put a straight question to them, they have increased the rail fare and the fare on the goods last time, saying the input of petroleum products was too high. Now the petroleum products have gone down and it's almost 1/3, they have touched 1/3. So are they going to withdraw the increased fare? If they don't do, they will be unfair.
Okay, but isn't this plain politics? And let me put that question to Kalikesh Singh of the BJD. While fuel prices may have gone down, the railways is in dire straits. The minister himself has said that it needs fixing. Would you be looking at a populist budget, or would you be looking at something which will bring about a lot of changes, and especially when it comes to public-private partnership?
Look, Suresh Prabhu is known as the reformer, and we have high hopes that he will reform and restructure the basic, essential character of the railways to make it more viable and feasible. Having said that, the railways provides a very basic social service to the nation, and you cannot ignore that social sector spend. And especially for a state like Orissa, which has a lot of hilly tribal areas, while it has mining and port areas, I think the foremost condition that the amount of money generated from a state should be spent back in the infrastructure of that state needs to be taken care of. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Okay. When it comes to this public-private partnership that they're talking about, you perhaps could have railways named after companies that sponsor those railways, or railway stations named after companies that sponsor cleanliness, for example, as one aspect. Is a lot of this bluster, or do you see some real stuff coming out of this budget?
Essence of any public-private partnership to be successful is a financial viability of that project. So in the case of Orissa, where you have lots of coal mines, lots of iron ore mines, and lots of port areas, lots of industries coming up, there could be many instances of success there. Let's say Coal India and the Orissa State Government and Ministry of Railways can have a joint venture to form certain infrastructure development there. However, in large parts of the nation where this doesn't exist, where there's an impact of social sector spend, the railways will have to provide budgetary support. And there's no way around it. Whether the government does it, the railways does it, or it's generated from state governments is something which the railway minister has to decide.
Okay. Now, fares were increased last time, Rahul. This objection that several Congress leaders are talking about, more to do with the way Rahul Gandhi is being talked about, or his absence is being referred to in Parliament, than the railways budget. Is that your main objection, or will a price increase or freight rate increase, would that be the main objection?
We are talking of the rail budget. We will say whatever we have to say on the rail budget. That's all. Our concern is the rail budget and nothing else.
Okay. So for the moment, Rahul, a lot of expectations from Suresh Prabhu's rail budget. The opposition, of course, says should prices increase, that's a red flag to the bull.
Okay, the railway minister though has indicated that that's not something he intends to do. I want to bring in some of our guests also. Mr. Agarwal has been listening very patiently to this conversation. Sir, when you look at the current state of the railway finances, when you see the fact that there's a 26,000 crore rupee loss on passenger fares that the railway incurs every year, what do you think the railway minister can do to generate additional revenue which he needs for all the investments he hopes to make?
You see, certain apparently hard decisions need to be taken by the government and the country to ensure the long-term sustainability and viability of the Indian railways. It is true that the loss incurred on the passenger traffic is almost to the tune of 30,000 crores, and that 30,000 crores is being cross-subsidized by hiking up the freight tariff disproportionately. The result is that you have a tariff policy in the Indian Railways which is highly skewed. Because of a very steep freight tariff on the Indian Railways, the logistics costs are going up, and it is directly going to hit the government's dream of making India a success. Because, say, if the cost of a ton of coal in Jharia, Raniganj or in Chhattisgarh or Orissa is an amount, the cost of transportation could be more than double of the value of coal when it reaches Tamil Nadu.
And that's a big problem, Sriram Khanna, given the fact that in India, since the 80s especially, the cost of freight has been jacked up so much that now, and even though it's really bad for the environment, people just prefer to move goods by road, and that really messes up the environment, and secondly messes up railway finances.
See, you may be correct, but that does not mean that you can jack up passenger revenues by 30,000 crores in a period of 2 to 3 years and increase the fares by very heavy percentages. That will be an unsustainable increase, and actually if that happens, the total revenues of the railways may fall instead of increasing, because there is a price elasticity of demand. People will reduce travel if it becomes too expensive. Therefore, what they need to do is to put up prices where they are improving service. There is a segment of the population.
But look at this data that I have. According, these are World Bank figures, mind you, which say that freight rates charged by the Indian railways are higher than the US railroads, Chinese and Russian railways. In the United States, US railroads are 1/4 those charged by the Indian railways. This surely needs to change.
Yes, but not at the cost of hiking passenger prices. You know, the large amount of poor people who travel from city to city, from state to state in search of livelihood or other reasons is so huge. You cannot burden them with American.
Okay, KC Jina is the former chairman of the railway board. He's joining us from Mumbai this morning. Mr. Jina, welcome. I want to understand from you, in the context of the challenges that the railway finances pose, and Suresh Prabhu is a crack chartered accountant. What do you believe that he needs to be doing to ensure that he's able to mop up additional finances, sir?
You see, the area of railway finances is positively very worrying, and I'm sure with his knowledge how he'll be able to get more finances generated. But at the same time, I must also say that all our efforts in the past has not shown any fruit. The PPP we have been talking about, but somehow or the other we have just not succeeded in the PPP. And therefore, out-of-the-box thinking has been also mentioned, but to what extent we are really going to achieve this is something which we are looking forward in the new budget.